Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome to this overview of Planet Coaster 2 Sorcery Pack. The awesome folks at Frontier have let me have a sneak peek at this and have provided some exclusive footage for me to show you today. The Sorcery Pack is coming alongside a free update number 7, on the 16th of September 2025. It comes with a bunch of spellbinding scenery and 5 enchanting rides. So first of all, we'll take a look at the rides. There's 2 flat rides and 3 coaster variants. The first one personally is the weakest one for me. It is a flat ride known as the Gale Force. As far as I can tell, this is based on a unique flat ride called the Tornado at Wiener Prater in Austria. And whilst it's not really my kind of thing, it is loosely themed, which is always nice. In the preview that they showed us, they used some of the new crooked wood pieces to make it look like an old tree, which was neat, but I do like the fact that the base version they give us is very plain. And whilst personally I would like to have seen more dark ride options, I do understand the appeal of these big, sort of plonk them down and generate some dynamic movement in your parks rides. The other flat ride is much more interesting to me, and it is a flying theatre. Perhaps the most well-known of these are made by a company called Dynamic Structures, and they can be found across the Disneyland parks with some variation of soaring in their name. These are incredibly large spherical screens that have sort of hanging seating in front of them that give you the feeling of flight as you move across them. I've been on a few of these both in Disney parks and elsewhere. In fact, there's a new one just opened near me in Niagara Falls that I'm looking forward to getting down to. I do feel like this is a peculiar but very interesting choice for a flat ride in this pack. I personally did feel with a magic theme that something like a Vekoma Madhouse or a dynamic motion stage would have worked really well. But saying that, I am very happy to see this added into the game. It's going to be interesting though, because the thing that really makes these rides is the footage that is shown on the screen. Obviously, they have included footage for the ride in the game. There's going to be some space, sort of going through space and going through planets and what have you. So if you're on console, you're going to be able to use those. Obviously, if you are on PC, you are going to be able to import your own custom media for those. So I won't lie, I have already been googling drone footage to see what I can find to make my own version of Soarin'. Moving on to the coasters, the first one is the Vector Child Coaster, which is very similar to the Vekoma Junior Coaster and is clearly meant to look like the Flight of the Hippogriff ride that you'll find in various Universal Studios as part of their Harry Potter areas. 2 of those, Orlando's and Japan, are made by Vekoma. The one in Hollywood and Beijing are actually made by Mack. But these are a drive tire junior coaster that offer thrills for younger thrill seekers, and is a great addition, in my opinion, to the family rides lineup of the game. And then we have 2 versions of the Automax Launch Coaster, which is the Planet Coaster version of the Intamin LSM Launch Coaster, colloquially better known as the Blitz Coaster. This is perhaps the most requested coaster in the game. I'm no real coaster, I mean, I ride them all, but I'm no real coaster head as far as, who makes what. I'm a keen idiot in that regard, but I do know that this one is definitely one of the most requested. And honestly, looking around some of the biggest theme parks in the world and some of the biggest rides in the world, it makes sense. Some of the top tier coasters across the world are Blitz coasters from Intamin. Maverick at Cedar Point, Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa, Taron at Phantasialand, the Velocicoaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. So not only is it a very popular make and model coming to the game, it also includes a completely new switch track system that allows for swing launches. They showed off these quite in depth in the preview we got to see, and they really do look fantastic. The piece itself that moves back and forth comes in various different options, coming in from either side, coming in from a banked turn or not, being able to select how many times the coaster goes through. We haven't actually seen the full UI of how these work, but they assured us that they're going to be pretty much every option you can think of that you will need to create any kind of coaster you want. In the version they showed off here, they'd done some sort of spooky, wizardy theming around it, and they did say that the launch behind the switch track here was quite long so that they could show off the new animatronics as part of sort of a show scene through it. Doesn't have to actually be that long. All of these things, you're going to be able to tweak the speeds that they go through, how many times they go through, and all of that. I cannot wait to see what people who know more about coasters do with this. And then the 5th coaster is another version of that Automax Raid that, rather than 2 regular seats, has a motorbike and sidecar, very much akin to Hagrid's Magical Creatures, a motorbike adventure found at Universal Islands of Adventure. I'm actually incredibly surprised to see this. A few people, once we saw the initial teaser of the Sorcery Pack, before we even knew it was called Sorcery Pack, did say that they would love to see a motorbike and sidecar coaster. But my argument was, I don't think we will, because outside the context of Harry Potter, it doesn't really make sense to have a motorbike and sidecar ride in a magical pack. Turns out I was wrong. We are seeing it anyway, and really I think what can be summed up is the Sorcery Pack. It basically wants you to build the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, or it's allowing you to build the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, just without the IP. All of the scenery leans very much into the construction of Hogsmeade or Diagon Alley. The rides, obviously the Flight of the Hippogriff style coaster and the Magical Creatures style coaster really lean into that as well. Everything else sort of does verge away from it a little bit. The Flying Theatre, the Tornado, and just the regular Intamin Blitz model. But it perhaps shouldn't be too surprising, because Planet Coaster does do their research. They do look at real life parks and do attempt to generate stuff that is very close to them, so that we can build the remakes of what we want to do. So whilst personally there is a little disconnect from just a motorbike inside a Sorcery Pack outside of the context of Harry Potter, for those of you who have been desperate to make a Hagrid's remake, the fact that you have this motorbike coaster and it has all of the switch tracks, the swing launches, and a whole load of scenery that'll help you as well, I expect a one-for-one remake of that ride. You've really got no excuse. Talking of the scenery, it is broken down into two main sets. There is the town set, and there is the castle or the keep set. Within those, I think there's a couple of wall types in each. There's a couple of new brick types that look fantastic and are all recolorable, and then there's some really nice wood textures as well. A lot of really great pieces for gable roofs, new windows and doors and everything you would expect. We haven't seen a full list of the scenery yet. I will be doing an overview of all of that scenery as soon as I get my hands on the pack and am allowed to show it to you. Of course, I will do one of those videos where we go over all of it, but as you can see, very much a sort of Hogsmeade, Diagon Alley vibe. Remember, this comes alongside that free update 7 that allows you to put grid pieces on a slant. I mean, it's just made for this kind of stuff. All of these crooked little buildings are going to be really fantastic. There's new special effects, including new smoke that seems to be lit, so it's visible at nighttime, which is a great addition. It comes with lots of new special effects as well that sort of sit well with cauldrons and what have you. Here at the end of the video, you see that keep build that looks fantastic, and there's going to be some really fantastic stuff you can do with this one. I love this sort of line that they are walking, that I personally feel like they've nailed in Planet Coaster 2 and did do very well towards the end of Planet Coaster 1, where there's clearly a theme here. This is clearly a magical town pack, but it's all just generic enough that you're going to be able to use it elsewhere as well. Those gable roofs, yes, they look like a fantasy build, but also that could be used in just some more traditional medieval builds and just sort of country or cottagey builds in general. So I think perhaps the elephant in the room then is that this isn't Spooky Pack. Pretty much as soon as that original announcement was made, everyone was like, oh, Spooky Pack's back, Spooky Pack's back, and this isn't Spooky Pack. But personally, I am happy with what we're getting here for spooky stuff that is clearly designed with a bit of a spooky vibe in mind. And yes, that sorcery term is a little bit more sort of overarching and a bit more encompassing, but I think obviously you can clearly see here that this pack is designed to go with the Halloween sort of release window that we're in, and you are going to be able to do a lot of your spooky builds that you've been waiting to do perhaps with this pack. There are statues that look very much like the statues in Hex. There are burning candles with dripping wax, there are cauldrons, there are special effects, there are creepy looking wooden doors and oil lamps. Yes, perhaps we haven't got straight up pumpkins and ghosts, but they showed off gargoyles and grotesques. They showed off some spiders and spider web, spider animatronics, and then there's a whole range of wizard animatronics as well that are both have their heads on them and then also cloaked ones, so you can't see their faces, and each of them do lots of different animations, shooting different spells or defending from spells, so you can be able to build cool wizardy things there. There's also a new wizard mascot that walks around the park. Their name is Vesper, and there is a masculine and feminine version. They both look fantastic. To me personally, the male one looks very inspired by the wizard scene in the first scene of Symbolica at Efteling. I don't know whether that was a conscious decision or whether it's just part of their sort of early design, but that very much seems to be how he looks to me. And I just think this is Spooky Pack by another name. This is Spooky Pack through the back door, personally. It makes sense to me why they didn't just release a new Spooky Pack. From like an SEO point of view, it makes sense not to have Spooky Pack just come up twice. There's a possibility people are like, well, I don't want to pay for Spooky Pack again. Here, it's clearly new stuff. You know, this isn't spooky, this is sorcery, but they've very much leaned into the idea that people are looking for that kind of scenery to make the haunted houses, to make the spooky crypts and the old ruins. This is the Hogsmeade Pack, this is the Diagon Alley Pack, this is even in some regards the Alton Towers Pack, that sort of just slight spookiness to everything around. I actually think this is a home run. I think a couple of the ride choices are interesting. I personally would have loved to have seen one of those classic dark ride flat rides, especially with the ability to attach scenery to them. I think it would be an absolute no-brainer to go with something like a Vekoma Madhouse or the dynamic, the motion stage, which is the Dance Macabre at Efteling. Saying that, I'm a big fan of the Flying Theatre. I look very much forward to adding that. I definitely want to put one of those into Meanderville, and I know people are going to make incredible stuff with those coasters as well. Overall, I think this is looking like a really fantastic pack. I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait to play with it myself and build stuff in it. And personally, after the last sort of 6 or 7 months of free updates, I think now is a great time to bring us some new content that will inject some hype into the community. I'm very excited to see what people do with this stuff. So once again, this comes out on the 16th of September. I'll have a full overview video of the DLC as soon as I can bring it to you. Let me know what your favourite bit about this is. Are you super excited for that spooky scenery? Can you not wait to start building your own Intamin Blitz? Heck, are you a fan of the Gale Force? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, be good.